So we both felt like this body drop was something that was really powerful, and we were excited to share it with everyone here. So we wanted to talk a little bit about it beforehand. So Sam's going to share a little bit about his experience with it. So Sam, what was your experience with the listening cards?
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
My first workshop with Dr. Michael Pacucci, we did a partner share. And in this first partner share, I was sitting across from a woman who I noticed suddenly was sharing some very intimate experiences and feelings and emotions with me. And I felt very unprepared for this. I noticed that I felt uncomfortable, anxious, tight. My mind started racing. I didn't know how to be there for her. And I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't know if I should be sympathetic or empathetic, make a gesture, nod my head, say something. We did a second exercise that day with these listening cards. And the cards provided us with a very simple guideline on how we can listen. And the guide focused on the body drop technique that we just experienced and gave a space for the listener to be in their body while they were listening.
And when you had the listening cards in hand, what was the...
I was feeling my body. And by focusing myself and my awareness onto what I was feeling in my body, I noticed a shift from my earlier experience. And in this partner share with the listening cards, by focusing on my body, I noticed a clarity, an openness, and a space. I noticed that my mind quieted down, and I felt like for the first time in my life, I was really with someone and really listening to someone. And I realized that I had never been taught how to listen, that we all know how to act like we're listening. Everybody knows how to, oh yeah, yeah. But this really allowed me this space and clarity to be there for someone who was sharing something, and it was a really wonderful experience.
Now, I'm going to ask you all to pick a partner first. It could be anyone. It could be the person you did before. It could be someone new. Even new, someone new is always good, just to keep the energy moving. The more energy movement we have, the better. The more diversity of movement, the better. So everyone pick a partner, and I'm gonna go through these very quickly with you. But I want you to know your role, your first role first. I also want to say that this particular exercise is taken from another very rich healing modality called focusing. I consider it the grandfather of focalizing because it was developed in the 60s and 70s and still lives today and does a really good job. But focalizing has little distinctions from it. So the person closest to me this time will be the supportive companion first, okay? So which means the listener from before, right? And I'm going to just read through the cards. Let me put my glasses on for a moment. Okay, for the supportive companion, am I sitting? They may ask the person. They want to ask the person because you want to make the person that you're supporting as comfortable as possible. So, am I sitting far enough away, or would you like me a little closer? Okay, and I'm going to digress back to the brain diagram for a minute. The old brain, sometimes called the reptilian brain, responds really well to soft speaking and direct languaging. So you'll notice that when I'm doing this, that I speak relatively slowly and softly, And that's because I am seducing that part of your mind into the process, because there's more resonance when we do it that way. And that part of our mind responds to resonance. Okay, does that make sense? So you just check in with the person. Am I sitting a good distance from you? Everything okay between us? Is there anything you would like from me as your companion? Anything special? Like there might be someone who says, "Yeah, please don't touch me" or anything, or just I don't know, whatever they say. Chances are they're not going to say much. Otherwise, for you supportive companions, just be comfortable. Bring your awareness into your own body. Bring your awareness into your own body while you're listening. So you're noticing your own inner condition while you're listening. And if your own personal stuff is there, you just kind of put it aside and listen to the other person. Kind of letting your old brain kind of be there and tune in and vibrate with what they're saying. Say hello silently and gently to any of your own feelings. So if you have feelings that come up while you're doing it, like, oh, this is awkward or uncomfortable or whatever, just kind of say hello to the feeling, allow it to be there, and just gently put it aside and return to being present. Okay? Wait till the focalizer speaks. Okay, just give them time to speak when they're ready. Take a breath before you say back what the focalizer said. Okay, now when I say back what they said, what I mean is someone might say, I feel a tingling in my arm. And your appropriate response back after you take a breath, say a tingling in your arm. Just repeat back that. What that helps do is it helps amplify the experience a little bit, just that it's been heard and repeated back to, so that helps it move along on its way to wherever it wants to go next. Use a gentle but audible voice and change I to you. So if they reported something and they said I, you'll say, you felt tingling. So you felt tingling. And that's it. No more, just you felt tingling. Just a repeat. So be sure to say back emotion or body words. Anything they say that contains emotion or body, just do your best to say it back. And there is no being perfect. Don't worry about it. You can't really screw up. It's just have your intention there to do this as well as you can. And you have the cards to refer to if you need them. If there's a lot, if they say a lot, you only have to say back a little bit. Just whatever you feel is most pertinent. If the card says if they say a lot, say back just the last whole thing. Okay, that's another way of looking at it. Just say back the last few words that they said. After you speak, let the silence belong to the focalizer. So after you speak it back, you again go back into your just being present mode. And don't ask any questions or make suggestions, please. Okay, we don't do that in this. Don't ask questions, don't make suggestions. Don't interpret, don't analyze. Don't take responsibility for the process. It's not your responsibility. You're just playing a role in what we're doing, okay? You're not responsible for the other person's experience. Don't think you have to do something if the focalizer is silent. Just let them be silent. Or doesn't know what to do, if they don't know what to do. If someone is the one who's focalizing themselves, and you don't know what to do and you feel confused at all, just raise your hand and I'll come over and I'll just whisper with you for a minute and we'll get it back on track, okay? Your main job is simply to be. Okay, everyone got that? And everyone knows who they are, who's going to be doing that first, right? Okay. For the person who's doing the focalizing, who you know who you are the first time, so you might say something to yourself like, I'm taking time to sense into my body. You know, just your inner talk to yourself. Or what forms in my body about my issue. Now, you may want to bring a present life issue, like, you know, anything that might be limiting your life at this moment. You know, I don't suggest you bring the biggest thing in the world, but, you know, whatever comes to you, you want to bring, you bring. Whatever. Okay, so what am I noticing in my body as I think of this thing, whatever it may be? I'm acknowledging it, this something, whatever it is, I'm just acknowledging that it's there. I'm finding the best way to describe it. I'm finding the best way to wrap words around my experience. I'm checking the description with my body. I'm seeing if it's okay to just be with this, to just be with it, just allowing for it. I'm sitting with it with interested curiosity. I'm just sitting with it with interested curiosity. I'm sensing how it feels from its point of view. I'm just sensing how it feels, what its experience is. I'm sensing if it has an emotional quality. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Just noticing. I'm letting it know I hear it. I'm letting it know I hear it. I open to any more it wants to let me know. I just allow space for anything more it might want to let me know. I'm sensing if it's okay to stop soon. In your own body, just your own sensing that, okay, I think I'm coming to a completion with this. Trust it. There is no right, wrong, you know. It's a way of tuning in and learning to trust that what I call your inner compass. I'm letting it know I'm willing to be back. I'm thanking my body and my body's process. Okay? So you have the cards to hold on to in case you want to refer to them. But it's really pretty simple. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to take 5 minutes each and just be with yourself. Okay? I'm talking now to the people who will be doing the first focalizing. And the supportive companions in that 5 minutes, you just be there for them. Just have your own experience of what it's like to just be present for another human being as they share their inner experience. Okay? And we're going to go right in. We're going to kind of roll nicely in. Stay where you are, folks. We're going to roll nicely in now to 2 minutes of sharing with the person who focalized first, going first. And in those 2 minutes of sharing with your partner, you might want to share a little bit of what it was like to be in each role. You know, I mean, or whatever you want. It's your 2 minutes, you know. So just taking 2 minutes to share with your partner, and then we'll switch and do it the opposite way. Okay? And you can begin now. Okay, so now we'll switch and do the opposite. Now the other person will share their experience in whatever way they want, what it was like to be on both sides and or whatever you care to share. Okay, so just take 2 minutes and the receiver will just receive. And I wonder if 1 or 2 people might want to, I mean, this was a lot, you know, you had 2 different kinds of experiences in 2 different ways, but if anyone would care to just share what it was like for them in some way, some aspect of it, just as a way of bringing the room together. Yes, Patrick.
Patrick, it was when I was a supportive companion for Stewart. I had to keep saying hello to feelings, my own stuff that was coming up, maybe from the focalization. It was kind of like a continuation, so I had to really quiet. It was hard for me, it was really hard for me. And as he was speaking about his spine, with a tension in his spine, I started feeling a tension in my spine.
Ah,
And it was kind of freaky.
we call that resonance. We call that resonance. And that's very common to the experience. As a matter of fact, the more you allow yourself to do it, the better. Yeah. And we said right before that, the resonance. So say it again.
I couldn't, it was hard for me to make space.
It was hard for me.
It was like a resistance.
Yeah, yeah. And in those cases, just honor the resistance for a minute. It's just like allowing for the resistance, and what'll happen is it'll pass very quickly. You asked about the resistance, the feeling of resistance. With regard to resistance, especially when you're first doing this and it's so foreign to you, you just want to say, oh, there's resistance. Okay, I'll just allow for that, even in your own quiet way. And you'll find that almost as soon as you say you're noticing resistance, it will begin to disperse in some way. It's just almost like allowing it to be there first, because it's kind of normal for it to be there. It's got a right to be. And by giving it that right, it kind of says, okay, and then let's go. Well, one other person, anyone? Yes, Joyce.
When Nick was speaking and he was saying about he felt like his authentic self,
Yes.
and I said to myself now, on exactly what is he speaking about? And then I had the experience. But I didn't realize I was having the experience at the time I was having the experience, not even when I was sharing with him. Because at first I was a little uncomfortable, am I going to do this right?
Yes.
And I sort of whispered that to him before we got started. He said, I didn't want to mess it up. I said, he says, too late, I'm already messed up. So that sort of lightened the moment for me.
Yes, yes.
And then I felt back, I sat back and I said, you know, when he first started sharing what his feelings were, I began to get comfortable and said, there's nothing for you to do but just sit here, listen to what he has to say,
Yeah.
and give it back.
There's nothing to do.
Now,
Yes.
in real life, I don't do that. I'm afraid to say, okay, can I keep this conversation going? All these thoughts of how to be.
Yes,
not
yes.
there. But my authentic self, I was able to be that. So
Yes,
I
can you
really
tell me?
got what you're talking
I love everything you're sharing. I'm just going to ask, is there a possibility that you could say something about that experience of noticing your authentic self?
Oh my God, I was completely relaxed. I didn't have thoughts of me. I was with him.
Yes,
And I didn't have invading thoughts
yes,
that
yes.
was saying, oh, you're not doing this right. Something's
Yes.
wrong with you.
Right.
This is-
So the noise quieted.
It was just quiet.
It was quiet and peaceful.
Inside.
Okay, and that's another dimension of what I refer to as source energy that your body's experiencing. And so your body gets a little taste of embodiment of that and gets a little more comfortable with it and starts growing towards the sun, you know?
Okay. And when I was being the focalizer, I just sat and I felt comfortable with the silence because I was waiting for whatever was going on inside. And I just said to him, I'm looking around inside. And then I didn't worry about him like, well, hurry up, you know? You know how men are.
Yeah, and I know how the world we live in is.
And then I began to describe to him what was happening inside of my body, and I felt myself really, really relax. And then I was telling him about the heat started from my head, my face, and I could feel it just growing.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it didn't all come at one time. And then it reached my thighs. I did have a moment there when I had to say thighs to him. So I don't know him that well. Talk about my thighs. But I didn't hesitate, or sort of should I again my inauthentic self would wonder, well, skip over that. My authentic self said, say it.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
But then there was another worry, where's the feeling going to? And so, but then it kept the inauthentic
But no,
self kept
also here, Joyce, another little distinction is that thought came in, okay, where is this going? But you noticed the difference, it sounds like, between the thought and your experience, your inner bodily experience.
Yeah, now that yes,
That's a very important distinction for us to begin to notice what it feels like to be embodied and what it feels like to have intrusive thoughts in the process, and then to gradually learn how to be a good custodian to our mind and work with those thoughts or allow them to be over here while we're being
That
authentic.
was the whole thing. Sometimes the invading thought lingers, and then I get lost in the whole process.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. It was like my authentic self said, you know, I'm here to stay. I'm going to be authentic. It
I'm
felt
here to
so good.
stay. I like
Yeah.
that.
So it was really a great,
Great.
experience for me.
Great, thanks, Joyce.